Sunday morning, and wherever you are joining us, this is your weekly news roundup on Atlantic TV with me, Omar Taal. We started where the embattled mayor of JMC, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, has launched a Unite for Change movement in an announcement made on his Facebook wall, where he calls for unity over individual ambition to make change next elections. The villages of Mandinaring and Lame have seen a height of heavy demonstration in a clash between the angry youth and the police over the killing of 27-year-old Omar Baji. President Barrow has addressed the nation and extended condolences to the family of Omar Baji, assured his government support to the family, and calls on youth to engage in dialogue as they are at the center of his national development. 23 anti-poor protesters have their case adjourned for 1 week on 9 October by the judges at the Cardiff Magistrate Court over internet price hike, what the authorities describe as an unlawful assembly. On the international scenes, for the first time in 6 years, the United States has shut down the government, leaving 4 million federal workers without a paycheck. It is the first government shutdown since 2018 in Trump's first term, which was the longest ever at 34 days, lasting into 2019. There is no clear path to a resolution, with the two sides fundamentally at odds over how to resolve the impasse. Nigeria ranked first in food loss and waste in Africa, according to World Bank report. Nigeria wastes more food than any other country, roughly 38 million tons. Traders blame poor storage and bad road for much of the loss. The former president of Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, has been sentenced to death in absentia by a military court in the capital, Kinshasa. A heavy earthquake struck Philippines on Tuesday, leaving rescuers searching for survivors after building collapsed during a prayer service. This is the news in summary. We now bring you in detail. The Gambia needs change, says the Talib Ahmed Bensouda. I have had struggles Gambians are facing across the nation. The youth do not have the opportunity they need to succeed. The JMC mayor made his presidential announcement calling for a united front to unseat President Barrow. The latest development comes amid internal wrangling he had with UDP establishment as to who will lead the party ahead of 2026 presidential election. Let's hear more from the JMC mayor.
Therefore, this is a call for action. This is a call for all Gambians who are well-meaning, young and old, male or female, home or abroad, to come together and join the movement for change. This is a movement I and like-minded Gambians have come together and formed with the desire and the ambition to transform into a political platform, political party that is highly representative and solves the needs of Gambians in every village, in every community, in every association, in every corner of the world. Therefore, I urge all to visit our website, to call our number, and register themselves to be part of this change. I have no doubt that if we come together, put our minds together, our resources together, our ambition together, we can change this country to be one of the best places the world has to offer. Of course, I cannot go without thanking the United Democratic Party. Under the leadership of His Excellency Ousainou Numukunda Dabo. This decision has not come lightly. It is one of the most difficult decisions I have had to make in my life, because all know and all have witnessed the support I have received from this party, and I would be insincere to not come here and thank them and assure His Excellency Ousainou Dabo and all members of the United Democratic Party who have become my close friends, my family, my sisters and brothers, that I will ensure that everybody associated or affiliated to this movement that I will lead will forever respect them and forever remember their sacrifice. I want to end by asking all Gambians, we have to change our country. The difficulties we face are not normal. the tragedies our youths are facing should be unacceptable. We have to forget about the tribes we belong to. We have to forget the communities we are from. We have to remember that we either succeed together as one nation or fail as individuals. So I want us to unite with one voice, unite with one mind, with one body to change this country forever.
That was KMC Mayor Talib Ahmed Bensouda there announcing his presidential bid. He first started with a movement called Unite for Change, where he called on the Gambians to rally behind him to unseat President Barrow next election. We move to another development where an angry youth have blocked the streets of Lame over the weekend to show their frustration and anger over the death of Omar Baji at the hands of the police. What appears to be a heightened and frustrating climate of fear. The police have denied any involvement into Omar's death, said Omar died when he fell off. The latest incident sparked firestorm and raises concern about the manner in which the police conduct their operation, and Gambians from all walks of life calling for a serious reform of the institution through an established standard procedures, where the institution could serve the people they swore to serve diligently with professionalism and sense of pride. The family of Omar have taken steps through post-mortem tests as a fact-finding move to know the motive of Omar's death. And Omar was buried this Wednesday at his home village in Mandarinarong. We join the rest of Gambians for Allah to grant him Jannah. To another development about the same death of Omar Baji, where President Barrow on Monday has addressed the nation on the demise of 27-year-old. The Gambian leader extended a condolence message to the family on the life loss, those injured and the officers involved. President Barrow highlights his government readiness to support the family through this moment and call on the youth of the country to engage in dialogue through available institutions that resistant to violence method, as their voices are at the center of his administration. Let's hear more from the Gambian leader.
Fellow Gambians, it is with a heavy heart that I address you following the recent disturbances which have led to the tragic loss of life and injury, affecting both citizens and members of our security services. Every life loss is a loss for our entire nation, and each injury is a reminder of the preciousness of peace. I extend my sincere condolences to the family of Omar Baji and assure them, as well as all affected families, of our prayers and state support in this difficult time. I also wish a swift recovery to all those injured, including our dedicated law enforcement officers. As a nation that cherishes democracy and unity, this is a defining moment for us. We must renew our commitment to peaceful engagement and lawful expression. The right to protest peacefully is a cornerstone of our democracy, protected by our Constitution and respected by this government. Let us, however, remember that violence, destruction of property, and threats to public safety undermine the very freedoms we seek to protect and will be addressed firmly by law. It is essential that all grievances, especially those of our youth, who are the heart and hope of this country, are channeled through constructive, lawful avenues. I want to assure every Gambian, particularly our young people, that my administration is listening. Your aspirations are at the center of our national agenda, and your voices matter. Ours is a government open to dialogue. Let us work together through established institutions and youth platforms to resolve concerns peacefully and constructively. While most Gambians seek only peaceful means to express themselves, a small minority may attempt to exploit these moments for personal or political gain. Let us not allow our unity or progress to be drained by those who pursue division or seek to incite unrest. The government remains vigilant in protecting all lawful rights, and those who resort to violence or incite it will be held accountable in accordance with due process and respect for human rights. To our security forces, I urge continued professionalism, restraint, and respect for the rights of all citizens. Uphold our Constitution, act with wisdom, and protect public order in a manner worthy of the confidence Gambians have placed in you. Let us all reaffirm our shared responsibility for peace, stability, and the continued development.
23 individuals who had participated in a protest at the Public Utility Regulatory Authority premises on August 22nd have been arraigned before Carnegie Magistrate Court. The protesters who were demonstrating against Pura's data hike were charged with unlawful assembly, and all pleaded not guilty. The said protests, organized by groups including Gala and Edward Francis Small Center for Right and Justice, were forcibly dispersed by police, leading to the arrest of 23 demonstrators. 4 others were later detained for expressing solidarity with those arrested. Let's hear more from one of the arrested individuals.
Koka men fore kidio me alan ko funding ke morning pulo ba men ko me alan ko yenana jande pure la protest ko me findira funding ko me alan ko e findira non pour que la balamba ya yandani pure la dabula GSM company la photo me alan ko GSM company le composition la non bebe la credit go tala kam c'est customer sort non pure me alan ko de public utility authority me alan ko tel consumer sol ni amo mo me alan ko ke mona fan credit go le nyanda ka logo le interest nyanda ko le sabu de le dabula je ko kana o talaro ya la fa so fonni ko nata findi me dalon ko campado ko nyine ko tara pira non pour kata petition yanta ni pira la autorité ka andandira ko idan nyanta ka consommation le protect ina de arrest police oli na nan kidi bo lo kon tambila ko man mara non kidi bo do jam ye charge on tunu pilene la ya lan ko ka ko le ko on lawful possession ye charge no wala ko etel findi dale IGB ma lansino dira pour que mo me lan ko de findi kidi bo e be findi la banda so bar bi kabina kidi bo le la sede polo na ne ka fune ala sana isa ala sede jaro di anyene karni jabiro na do anina loyalty na ga fune la ni de dabo wato wala ni leading prosecutor defense counsel de anyene karone jabiro dum ta ma last week mo fa jana but bi police ol na da nan la charge so ni ya falene ko sai ye charge ku do la findi nan kide mo nyala men ko tumere fulale bodo kayan dandila ko ni charge men na wala ni de ko lawful assembly ani lawful possession kayan dandila ko mo yala ko findi da ye tumi fulo la ba ka bi o ridi ni nyala ina da ko hansa yela balamba ya yanda ni ka na mila ko ter balanta o tumi wol nyinna le hansa wala muda ya nan o tumi ko ni ka biyo ko wado mena ni nara ko bayre ni sede do ni because ni tumi ku do na nan kidi bu nyaata la ka muda ko be nyanda ka datile fresh bor prosecution na da daniro ka kana bayre ni sede ko mo men ba be selo ko makino la amanjare ko rega ya kula pura sede jara ko do yo adopt as the wala mara sede jaro de wona daga fende mena ko kidi mo na da somala wona daga fende mena ko yo adopt den ni kan ni jabe na da lu manen council na loyalty mai ka ko me la mi ls camera ka cross examine ka na na ko sara kuma kan ni ka credit wal la min camera la ni karo ni jabe wala la dis cross examination of tuntun da men kan pour ka yanda ni padre kara motiba en ko tele ni mo ni sabo be arrest ka na ko personal tele arrest.
That was one of the protesters at the Carnegie Magistrate Court talking to the reporters about the arrest made by the Gambia Police Force, and their case is adjourned next week. We now shift our attention to the international scenes, where we start with where United States government officially shut down at midnight after Congress and the White House failed to reach an agreement on how to extend federal funding. President Trump's Republican Party controls both chambers of Congress, but it needs Democratic support to pass a bill in the Senate where 60 votes required. And the two parties failed to craft a bipartisan bill, with Senate rejecting both a GOP proposal and a Democratic proposal just hours before the shutdown. More from ABC News' Rachel Scott.
Tonight, for the first time, President Trump sitting down with top Democratic congressional leaders in a last-ditch effort to prevent the government from shutting down tomorrow night.
It was a frank and direct discussion with the President of the United States and Republican leaders, but significant and meaningful differences remain.
Democrats say they will not vote to fund the government unless Republicans restore cuts to Medicaid and keep health care premiums from rising for some 20 million Americans.
He seemed to, for the first time, understand the magnitude of this crisis.
But minutes later, a tough line from Vice President J.D. Vance.
I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing.
I asked if there was any chance for a deal.
So just to be clear, is there room for negotiation here with Democrats?
They had some ideas that I actually thought were reasonable, and they had some ideas that the president thought was reasonable. What's not reasonable is to hold those ideas as leverage and to shut down the government unless we give you everything that you want.
If the government shuts down, as many as 4 million federal employees could go without a paycheck. Many, including 2 million members of the military, could be forced to work without pay. In Alabama, that includes Heather Campbell's husband, a major in the Air Force. They have 3 children.
We're not talking about faceless humans in a faraway office. We're talking about men and women and moms and dads and grandparents and sisters and uncles. They want to show up and they want to do a good job and they want to be honest, hardworking Americans. And they're getting caught in the middle of this political rhetoric.
And tonight, the White House with a threat of its own. If the government shuts down, many workers might not just be furloughed, they could be fired. The administration now drawing up plans to potentially eliminate the jobs of people working on programs that are not consistent with the president's priorities.
And again, David, the government is set to shut down tomorrow night. Millions of Americans are watching and waiting to see if lawmakers can reach a deal. But tonight, no word on if the president plans to speak with Democrats again before tomorrow's deadline, David.
That was ABC News' Rachel Scott reporting on the recent government shutdown, which leave over 4 million federal workers without a paycheck. We now turn to where World Bank highlights that Nigeria faces significant challenges with food loss. With estimates suggest that high percentage of food losses at 40% annually, citing poor storage, bad road, and lack of effective policy as key reasons. Nigeria wasted more food than any country in Africa, losing about 38 million tons with a value exceeding 9 billion per year. More from CGTN report.
World Bank estimates that 40% of food in Nigeria is wasted every year. The UN Development Program puts it at 187 kilograms of food per person per year and almost 38 million tons of food waste in 1 year alone.
The value of the food that goes to waste in Nigeria in dollars is over 9 billion US dollars per year. So if you put that into perspective, a lot of the food that we produce, even from farm to fork, cost us a whole lot. And this can be happening whilst people can barely feed.
In Lagos, the Mile 12 market, one of the biggest food hubs in West Africa, paints the picture clearly. With no proper cold chain storage facility in place, piles of spoiled tomatoes, peppers and vegetables are thrown away daily. Traders also attribute this loss to bad roads as they transport their goods from the north of the country to Lagos in the south.
And usually when there is a glut and we are unable to sell off quickly, our products all go bad because they are perishable items. So we have no choice but to throw them away and absorb the loss. It's even worse now as people are not buying as before.
It's a contradiction for a city where many cannot afford a single meal, and at the same time, disposing of the food waste poses environmental challenges.
Most of the waste now goes to the landfill, where it decomposes into a variety of byproducts. The most dangerous one is methane, which contributes a significant amount to greenhouse gases that cause global warming.
Non-profits like the Lagos Food Bank Initiative are stepping in, rescuing surplus food and redistributing it to those in need. Periodically, many indigents gather at their facility to receive food, which has become a lifesaver for many.
On Nigeria by CGTN. A military court in the Democratic Republic of Congo has sentenced former President Joseph Kabila in absentia Kabila, who served as president from 2001 to 2019, had left Democratic Republic of Congo in 2023, but recently visited Goma in the east of the country, an area controlled by M23 rebels. The former president went on trial in absentia in July for his alleged support for the Rwanda-backed rebels, who seized large part of the territory in the eastern DRC this year. Rwanda has denied providing military support to the M23 rebels, but United Nations experts say its army play a critical role in the group's offensive. Let's hear more from this report.
The Democratic Republic of Congo's former president, Joseph Kabila, was sentenced to death in absentia on Tuesday by a military court. He was convicted of war crimes, treason, and crimes against humanity, and also ordered to pay around $50 billion in various damages to the state and victims. The case stems from his alleged role in supporting the advance of Rwanda-backed M23 rebels in Congo's volatile east. Rwanda, which has long denied helping M23, says its forces act in self-defense against Congo's army and ethnic Hutu militiamen linked to the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Kabila, who led Congo from 2001 to 2019, has denied wrongdoing and says the judiciary has been politicized. He was not present for the trial and was also unrepresented by legal counsel. Neither he nor his representatives were immediately available for comment, and his current whereabouts are not known. Lawyer Richard Bondo hailed the result as a victory for the country.
We are satisfied because justice has been served. So, the justice rendered in the name of the Congolese people gives satisfaction to these people. Given that the defendant, Kabila, mastermind of all rebel movements, all insurgents, and all Rwandan aggression, he, as the mastermind, has just been sentenced to capital punishment.
Some residents of Congo's rebel-occupied eastern city of Bukavu did not share that sentiment. This resident pointed out that the trial had cost the public millions and questioned whether Kabila's conviction would truly bring an end to the conflict in eastern parts of the country. The verdict could fuel further divisions in the vast mineral-rich Central African nation, which has endured decades of conflict. M23 rebels now control much of North Kivu and South Kivu provinces. The fighting has killed thousands and displaced hundreds of thousands more this year. The two sides signed the US-brokered peace agreement in June, but Reuters sources say they are both reinforcing their positions.
Report on the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the former president Joseph Kabila has been sentenced to death for his alleged involvement in giving assistance to the M23 rebel, which control part of the eastern region of Goma. We move to the Philippines, where magnitude 6.9 earthquake also struck central Philippines, sending residents fleeing into the streets, knocking power and prompting a tsunami warning for Cebu and nearby provinces. Rescuers used backhoe and snare dogs to look survivors in collapsed houses and other damaged buildings in the central Philippines Wednesday. A day an earthquake killed at least 69 people. ABC Brett Clenet reports from Hong Kong.
Earthquake, earthquake! This is the moment a powerful earthquake rocked the Philippines, leaving dozens dead. You can hear the screams of terrified residents in Cebu province. Models walking the runway during this beauty pageant, scrambling to get to safety. The bell tower on this centuries-old church toppling to the ground. The 6.9 magnitude earthquake striking just before 10 there Tuesday night, killing at least 69 people. And in Indonesia tonight, crews racing to rescue dozens of students after their school collapsed during a prayer service Monday. Officials still hearing screams from the rubble. Today, digging a tunnel to rescue 5 survivors. Parents gathering, desperate for word. I got here as soon as I heard the news, this father says. That school had been undergoing construction. At least 6 were killed, dozens more injured.
David, back to that deadly quake in the Philippines that violently shook buildings as it struck. Rescue efforts are now being hampered by hundreds of aftershocks. And this is less than a week after the country was hit by back-to-back typhoons with another...
That report by ABC Britt Clenet in Hong Kong brings us to the end of this news. First with the headlines. The embattled mayor of JMC, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, launched Unite for Change movement in an announcement made on his Facebook wall. The villages of Mandinari and Lame have seen a heavy demonstration in a clash between the youth and the police. President Barrow has addressed the nation and extended condolence to the family of Omar Baji and assured his government support. 23 anti-poor protesters have their case adjourned for 1 week by the judges at the Carnegie Magistrate Court. The Trump administration has shut down the government, leaving 4 million federal workers without a paycheck. The former president of Democratic Republic of Congo has been sentenced to death for his alleged involvement in giving assistance to the M23 rebels. This and many more in today's news. Thank you.